He awoke to the huge insect-like creatures looming over his bed and screaming his lungs out. They hastily left the room, and he stayed up all night, shaking and wondering if it had been a dream. The next morning, there was a tap on the door. Gathering his courage, he opened it to see one of them gently place a plate filled with fried breakfast on the floor, then retreat to a safe distance. Bewildered, he accepted the gift. The creatures chittered excitedly. This happened every day for weeks. At first, he was worried they were fattening him up, but after a particularly greasy breakfast left him clutching his chest from heartburn, they were replaced with fresh fruit. As well as cooking, they poured hot, steamy baths for him and even tucked him in when he went to bed. It was bizarre. One night, he awoke to gunshots and screaming. He raced downstairs to find a decapitated burglar being devoured by the insects. He was sickened, but disposed of the remains as best he could. He knew they had just been protecting him. One morning, the creatures wouldn't let him leave his room. He lay down, confused but trusting as they ushered him back to bed. Whatever their motives, they weren't going to hurt him. Hours later, a burning pain spread throughout his body. It felt like his stomach was filled with razor wire. The insects chittered as he spasmed and moaned. It was only when he felt a terrible squirming feeling beneath his skin that he realized the insects hadn't been protecting him. They had been protecting their young. The poor old puppeteer was never blessed with a real live child. He'd always wanted to, but fate never allowed him to have one. One night, tired of being alone, he tirelessly carved out several blocks of wood. Lovingly, he whittled, carved, and handcrafted the finest wood into a pair of arms and legs, a torso, and a head. Using the softest silk strings from China, he attached the arms and legs to a few planks. As the sun began to rise, the master puppet maker stood up to admire his beautiful work. "Now, for the finishing touch," the old man said. He went to a small hickory chest in the corner of the workshop and procured a rolled-up, stained, royal blue cashmere blanket. The puppet maker slowly unrolled the blanket and placed his stillborn child on the wooden frame. He nailed the arms to the marionette's arms, doing so carefully as to not rip apart the delicate flesh. He did the same with the little feet, making sure to stretch them out to fit the frame of the body. Finally, he secured the soft, tiny head onto the headpiece, propping the eyes wide open. "My son, see? Now you can sit up, walk, and even dance," he said, maneuvering the strings masterfully. Proud of his work, the puppet maker opened the door to his shop to show the town his son. As she regained consciousness, Annalise struggled to adjust her eyes to the darkness. As she felt the firmness of the slithering rope around her wrist, it became clear that she was still tied to the chair. Annalise made futile attempts to get her hands free, but they were securely tied behind her back. She slowly licked her dry lips, but her dehydrated mouth had failed to offer even a drop of saliva. With squinted eyes, she looked around the dimly lit room when she saw the man in the dark, standing in one corner, silently observing her every move. She tried to speak up, but her dry mouth didn't allow her to produce any audible words. Knowing what was about to happen, tears started flowing down her heavy eyes. She took a deep breath and spoke up.
Please, please, I can't take this anymore.
The man dressed in black stood motionless, hearing her plea for mercy. He felt an immense hatred in his heart. He started to grind his teeth and clench his fist, firmly grasping the small metal object in hand.
Please, please, I don't want to die.
Annalise cried out. Her voice was so low that it appeared she was speaking only to herself. The man slowly turned around and locked the door, realizing it was time to act. Even though he had done this several times, still he felt the same nervousness that he felt the first time. Annalise knew it was about to begin now. She would pray to God for help, but it appeared that God had abandoned her. Finding no other way out, she began again.
I don't want to die here. Please, please, I want to live. I beg you, please, let me go.
Never.
Suddenly, Elise screamed out in a demonic voice. Her face instantly turned pale, and dark, thick blood began to ooze out of her mouth. A sinister smile formed on her lips as she turned her head in an odd angle. She looked straight at the man and screamed out, only this time her voice was intolerably loud.
You think you can save her? No, she is mine now. I will never leave, even if this body rots in hell.
The man stood silently, trying to control his anxiety. The last thing he wanted to do was to show fear. He finally stepped out of the corner and took out the Bible. The priest, dressed completely in black, was now ready. Even though he had performed several exorcisms before, he still felt the same nervousness that he felt the first time. Hearing the incessant curses of the demon, the priest felt an immense hatred in his heart, but he remained focused, clenching his fist and firmly grasping the small metal bottle containing holy water. He took a deep breath and relaxed his shoulders. As the priest stood in front of the possessed Annalise, he spoke out demandingly. In the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, I command you to leave this body.